This is Actualize Freedom, straight talk on growing clicks and conversions on Amazon FBA from people doing it every day. Now here's your host, digital marketing acrobat, Danny Kenji Carlson.
What's up, my Freedom Actualizers? So I have put together something really valuable for you. I just sent an email to all 65 plus of the past Actualize Freedom Podcast guests, just asking if they could put together a special deal just for you guys with their softwares, with their courses, whatever they're offering. There's a lot of people out there who have really valuable Amazon software that we talked about. There's some courses out there that some of these courses have been made just for you guys or are 50 to 70% off. Some of them are completely free. So this is all of the best exclusive offers only for the Actualize Freedom podcast from the podcast guests themselves, from the masters themselves. So to get this, guys, just go to actualizefreedom.com. You'll see right there on the homepage where you can go and get that list. So this is exclusive offers just for the Actualize Freedom podcast listeners like yourselves from the guests themselves. So go check that out, actualizefreedom.com. What's up, guys? Danny Carlson here. It is real bright and early Bally morning, and I am sitting here with Quin Amorim. He is back in my home country of Canada, and this is the time of year where I really like being over here in Bali instead of Canada. But Quin just got a brand new crazy computer with 64 gigabytes of RAM or something ridiculous like that. So there's going to be no lag on this interview. We have no worries of that whatsoever. So welcome to the podcast, man. How's it going over there in Canada?
Thank you, Danny. Oh, man, it's going fantastic. As you can see out my window, it's snowing, of course. There's a lot of snow out there, and about probably, it's still not too cold, but minus 4 or 5 Celsius.
Yeah, I mean, that's a Canadian's version of not too cold. So, for you Americans out there, that is below freezing temperatures, and there is snow on the ground. So,
yeah.
Excellent. So the first thing I want to touch on here is how you tested email follow-up to find the best conversion rate for reviews. So I know a lot of people, they have a lot of concern right now with, Amazon follow-up emails, and there's, people getting suspended for saying the wrong thing in their Amazon follow-up emails. But at the same time, it's really important to get the highest conversion rate possible on your reviews so that, a typical review rate might be 4% or something like that. How can we make it better?
All right. So at the time of the interviews, or depending when people listen to this, things may have changed now with that new review button that Amazon just put in a couple of days ago. So it may or may not kill email follow-ups. But that's something that I tested a lot. And like we spoke before, outside of Amazon, I never do much, or if anything, with email. But in Amazon, I did a lot of testing. And the main thing that I figured out was not even the open rate, it was the reply rate. I wanted it to be replied to in order to start a conversation, because if somebody replies, even if it's just anything, now you can reply to them again. So even if Amazon puts in the rule of only contacting the customer once, now if the customer replies, you can always reply back to them. And that's what we started testing with. And there's a lot of tests. Of course, the subject was very important. And I'll even tell you one that stuck and we use often is about your Amazon order, right? So, and then we put 3 dots. So about your Amazon order, ... And it
seems very important.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense.
And then in there, we tried with all different things. So the subject we worked out that would have been one of the best that we had, because it creates a little bit of intrigue, like what about it? And then we tried everything. We wanted engagement, so there's always questions in there. And one of them started coming back with replies all the time. And it was just a couple lines. No review request, no feedback request. And it was the subject that said, about your Amazon order, ... And then inside was, and we first started with the client's name, and we can't use that anymore. But at the time that we tested this, we could, and it would be like A, and then open brackets, client's name, whatever. So it'd show up, "Hey, Danny, I just want to make sure that you're still at," and then client's address, right? And that was it. And it would end there. And when the person would receive that email, they would feel like, maybe this didn't ship yet. They need to know the address to confirm before they ship it. And they will all start replying, "Oh, yes, that is correct. That is correct," right, Normie? And now that you got a reply from them, we would go in, "Hey, glad to know. Just to be clear, the product is already on the way. I hope you love it. Let me know when you get it. So if everything was okay or whatever, let me know when you get it." And now that you already talked to them a couple times, people are more likely to actually contact back and say, "Hey, I did get the product. Everything was great, was fantastic." And then manually, the VA would go and ask for a review to those people. And it would do a couple things. One, it would filter if anybody was unhappy. Of course, we wouldn't request a review if they were unhappy. We would fix their problem, of course. But by doing so, you're not breaking any rules, because you aren't requesting a review and saying, "If you are happy, leave me a review. If you're not, contact me," right? We would just only ask a review for those that we assumed were already having a good experience.
Yeah, and to be clear, what you just mentioned is against Amazon terms of service,
Yes.
right? If you are putting that language in your emails that, hey, if you are happy, leave a review. If you're unhappy, contact support, explicitly against Amazon terms of service, right?
Absolutely, yes. So that's why we don't do that, but we can somewhat filter, because if I send you an email and for some reason you are unhappy with the product, and I send you an email and say, "Hey, Danny, are you still living in Bali?" You're not going to reply, "Oh, yes, my address is correct." You're going to say something like, actually, at that time, they don't even say anything yet. But when they do reply saying that they received the product, if it was defective, they're going to let you know right away. If they're unhappy, those are the ones that are most vocal as somebody unhappy, right? They're going to let you know that your product sucks. And of course, we fix that, but don't ask them for a review. And
yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
I tested one more thing, and that one was a little bit hard, because we needed a huge amount of data to be able to notice the difference, and it was who signs it. We tested that, and a female name on the signature, right, always had a bigger reply rate than if you sign with a male name. If I sign like, "Okay, thank you very much, Bob," it had a smaller reply rate than if it had a female signature like Annie. And
that's really interesting. Yeah, and I love what you're saying here too, because I can just see in my own psychology how I typically respond to emails and everything like that, that this is just really spot on with the way I behave as well. Like, for some reason, I think there's a human need to want to reciprocate. Like, if you have some kind of open conversation with someone, even if it's some company that is just like trying to get me to buy something, or just like some email thread that I don't really want to respond to, I feel obligated to. Once there's been a few back and forths, even if it's someone I really don't want to engage with, I still will send a response to that email, right? So it's a very interesting tactic, just getting that conversation back and forth. And now like these people feel obligated almost to respond when you send another email.
Yeah, I got that from Richard Brunson from ClickFunnels. He called it the micro commitment. And when somebody does a little step like that, micro commitment, then it's easier to get them to take a bigger step. So that's why I tried implementing that, and it worked like magic.
Yeah. Russell Brunson is great. I've read a bunch of his books, and I've taken a few courses from him, actually. He's a really high-level marketer, and he's great. I would just caution people that, it's great to learn marketing from him, but ClickFunnels, his software, just keep in mind that he is one of the best digital marketers in the game, in my opinion, and he's applying his own digital marketing skills to make ClickFunnels seem like the be-all, end-all product out there. And I can tell you right now that paying $100 a month for ClickFunnels software does not have the value that it promises, right? If you have, WordPress, as long as you can reasonably do WordPress, there's things out there for like $50 one-time fee that can do everything ClickFunnels can just as easily. So, I'll just mention that, ClickFunnels, it's a great software, but he hypes it up a lot, and $100 a month price point is just a little bit, it's not really worth the value, in my opinion.
Yeah, man, I was laughing as you were saying that for two reasons. One, because I said Richard Brunson, and I was confusing with Richard Branson, but no, it was Russell Brunson. And then you are 100% right, because I do have the WordPress one-time fee, and I think it was $60, so 50 US, that's like 60 Canadian. And it's a one-time fee. And it does the same thing. It's all drag and drop. I build my funnels in WordPress, and I own it. I own it. There's no more fees for life, and I could do the exact same thing. Yeah, it's Profit Builder.
That's excellent.
Is that the same one?
Profit Builder is called. Okay. No, I use Elementor. It's called. It's just like very similar layout to ClickFunnels. It's all drag and drop and makes it very easy. But yeah, like you said, it's a one-time fee of less than $100 instead of $100 per month, and it's just exactly the same thing. You can set up like just as easily, and there's less limitations with the WordPress site too. WordPress has quite a few limitations. It makes it very simple and easy all in one place. But if you want to do other things, WordPress site is not limited really by anything. You can do anything you want on a WordPress site. Yeah. So again, that is Profit. What is that one called?
Profit Builder. WP, which is
Profit
WordPress. Builder. WP Profit Builder. It's a one-time fee. It's like $60 or whatever for life, and you can use it on. You can have 50 licenses, so you can have 50 sites with different licenses running that Profit Builder. And the templates are pre-designed. They are just like ClickFunnels. You can have. And they're included, right? They're included as well. Yeah.
Wow. For that price point, maybe I'll just have to try it out. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
And so with these emails to you, my kind of final question there, do you have any numbers on how much you increase your review rate from these optimizations that you did?
I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I have a rough number of almost 7%, if I'm not mistaken, Danny. And this started with I started with I believe like a 1.3% when we first started it, right? Now, and that is after open rate. So I do not, and this aspect, when you're looking at those, it's 100 emails open, 7% review rate, because out of those, if you just send 100, there's a good chance that 30 or 40 of them are not even opened, right? That's a different thing.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, because now Amazon customers can opt out of receiving all seller emails, right? Do you have any idea of what the order to review rate is in your scenario?
I don't. That's something I could probably look it up and let you know. But there's actually a cool stat that I wanted to let you know about the open rates, the general open rates. And for example, I know that an open rate of 30 or 40% in anything is actually really, really good. In Canada, and you know, they always say that Canadians are nice. Of course, in Canada, sales volume are a lot lower than in the US. But at one point, I had 98% open rate in Canada. Like, people were so nice, they were opening everything, and that was so cool. And at the same time, even though the market was, I don't know, between 5-10% of what the Amazon US is, I was getting more replies from those because if there was a question in there, people would answer it. It would be like, hey, was the product okay? And they would reply, yes, it's fine or not. And so there was actually a lot more trouble or work, to answer Canadian emails with 5% of the sales than it was to answer all of the US sales.
Oh, that's awesome. And yeah, there was actually one subject line that really worked for us recently. It's actually not in the context of Amazon. It's in the context of our agency, Kenji ROI. And Phil, the sales guy, came up with this one. The subject line was, "Can we close your file?" ? And it's funny, we actually had a sales call this morning with a new potential client of ours, and he was mentioning this. It's like, yeah, that email line like really caught my attention. I was like, wait, like what file do I have open with this company? Like I don't have any file, or it is account, I believe it was. Can we close your account? And then so it's been working quite well, and especially on this client, he just told us exactly why it worked. He's like thinking in his brain now, like, wait, I have an account with this company. But then after he's thinking that, then he's actually looking at what we're offering, and then we got on a sales call, right? So it's tweaking around, getting inside the psychology of your target customers can really increase your results when it comes to email. Very interesting stuff. Yeah. And there is another really interesting kind of provocative thing that you say is that you do not believe in experts that focus on ACoS. So, quickly for those people who don't know what ACoS means, maybe a quick little overview of ACoS, and then why don't you believe the experts that focus on ACoS? Because there are tons of them out there, and everyone preaches get the low ACoS on Amazon, make profitable sales and everything. Mm-hmm. So just explain a little bit about that.
Okay, yeah. So that of course that has two sides, but first is ACoS is the advertising cost of sales, and in really simple terms is what percentage of your sale that you used to generate that sale. So, for example, if you sold an item for $100, but you spent $20 to get that sale, so your ACoS is 20%. Which
in Amazon ads.
Yes, yeah. in Amazon, and outside of Amazon, you deal with ROIS, which is the return of ads. So ROAS, return of ad spend, and that is a multiplier of what you spend. For example, a 5x means that you spend $1 and you made $5. So you spend $1,000, you made $5,000. On Amazon, at 20% ACoS is not bad, right? A lot of people are trying to focus on. I actually see some screenshots on Facebook. You probably saw people with 3, 4, 5% ACoS. And don't get me wrong, those are good, but when I see something like that, I know that you're missing out on a lot of sales. And one of the most important things is there's ACoS on display ads that I consider the lowest possible is the best, because display ads are just bringing me sales. They're just bringing me sales, and I want those to be profitable. When it's PPC, they're also bringing me ranking, right? Because the algorithm wants conversion rate. Now, if the conversion rate on PPC for the word Bluetooth speaker is high, I'll become relevant to that search term, and I rank higher for that search term. So PPC doesn't only get me sales, it also gets me ranking. So I do sometimes, if the product is already launched and already is in a very high position, now it's time to focus on the ACoS and make sure that the profits are there, because that's of course very important. That's why we do this, is to get profits. But for a lot of products that are not at that stage, I use PPC in my case as a ranking factor. Of course, we're going to generate sales from them. And if those sales are at break even or close to profit, I mean, that's a plus, right? But if we're focusing on the ACoS, I believe that that product that has the 4% ACoS more than likely is a second page product. That's my belief, because if it's on the, I mean, unless it's one of those that has the social proof that we all want, the 10,000 5-star reviews, right? And it's the first one above the fold when you type in Bluetooth speaker. And if there's one that has 5-star reviews, right, it's the first 3 are sponsored, so the fourth one that shows up on the page. if I see 5-star, 10,000 reviews, I'm buying that one too, of course. So that one there has all the relevancy. Therefore, the ACoS for that product is going to be better because their pricing is better. Because Amazon also works with relevancy as a pricing factor. If you're not relevant to a Bluetooth speaker, if you're selling an onion, you can get a couple clicks to it, but you can spend $10 or $20 in clicks to your onion, and you're not going to generate a sale if you do.
What if it's a Bluetooth onion, though? You know, you connect your Bluetooth onion to your cell phone, and every time that you need to water your eyes and cry a little bit, you can just like connect it, and it instantly will start crying.
Yeah, that would be a good option. Actually, that may be a good idea, Danny, to create a product.
New product idea. You guys heard it here. So that is the next trendy thing out there, Bluetooth onions. You guys heard it first on the Actualize Freedom Podcast.
Yeah, you could have them next to your garlic press in your kitchen, and you're listening to music through that Bluetooth onion. That's a great idea.
It's right up there with like Donald Trump cell phone cases. They're going to be rich overnight.
Absolutely. So
yeah, that's very interesting what you're saying. I would love to hear, where is the line for you when it comes to ACoS? Like, are you overly aggressive and you're willing to lose a certain amount of money on product sales in order to gain the keyword ranking on specific keywords, or where is the line for you when you're deciding how much ACoS is too much ACoS?
During the launch, it doesn't really matter too much, right? And that's like, say, week 1 of the launch. Even if the launch is going to be 2 or 3 weeks, or honeymoon stage or whatever, the first week it's going to be a loss. I have no doubts, right? We're talking about sometimes 300 or 400%, and there's some people that just blows their mind. But I rather lose what's going to be, let's say, $400 or $500, depending on your category, right? Not if you're talking about supplements, it's not going to be $400. But if I can throw away a figure of speech, $400 or $500 loss, right? This is below the product return that I'm going to get. But if I can get good ranking, of course, this is done in combination with other things, right? So we have a pre-launch with some influencers, social media influencers, Instagram influencers, YouTubers. That's kind of the pre-launch. That's going to help a little bit of social proof of externally. And then on Amazon, when these people come and visit, they already have an idea why this product has really low reviews, because this influencer already told their followers that this is brand new, right? So now when you go to Amazon to look for something that is brand new, you already know that in comparison to the old one, it is going to have less reviews. So it kind of helps when it comes to that. And then back to the ACoS. I almost got lost there. Back to the ACoS. During the first week, it can go 200, 300, 400%. Then, of course, we start bringing it down, and that along the rebates, the combination of all of these, we start generating a higher conversion, some reviews, right? Of course, we sign up for the, what do you call those, 5 reviews that we can get from Amazon for $60, early review program. So any brand new product, we sign up for that. So Amazon can help out with those. And of course, we also use people that we got from our pre-launch. We also ask them to go and do this review. And sometimes we try to get the influencer to mention the product name and not put a link. We try that. Let's say
for search, find, buy, for example.
Find this on Amazon. Here's the name, and we put a particular name that we want the person to search for in in quotations, and no link, so they don't have to click on anything. Just because most of the influencers are on Instagram, and the only links that are clickable are the links on the bio. And there's a higher percentage of people that see a post that do not go to the bio, right? So we do that. And it helps, of course, with search, find, buy, and to a certain extent, although not measurable. We cannot measure that. That's the only issue.
Yeah, I mean, that's the problem, right? Is that it's impossible to measure something like that. But if people actually do take action through that, then it will have the most powerful effect on your keyword ranking, right? So it definitely makes sense. And that's something I recommend to people as well as part of a launch strategy. Like search, find, buy, I think is great, but it's very unlikely you're going to get enough people to actually follow through with any kind of search, find, buy strategy without some other kind of strategy that it has less friction. Because asking people to click on one link and fill in their email address is hard enough, let alone like, hey, like type in this exact phrase in Amazon, scroll to page 2 and click my product and purchase it. It's just like, it sounds like such a little amount of things to do, but the internet will take your attention and just rip it off to Instagram or some other place in a split second.
Yeah.
Right?
A quick note to that too, Danny. If you're going to do search, find, buy, like we did without a link, there's lessons learned the first time you did it. We did it, for example. Make sure the picture of your product is very different than your competitors. Because first time we did one of those, people went back to the influencer and they commented, hey, I got mine, mine is on the way. Well, we measured the amount of people that said that. And of course, we don't know if it's true or not. They're just comments. But we did not generate near the amount of replies that people said they bought it. So we figured either two things happened. They were telling the influencer they bought it when they didn't, or they bought the wrong one, right? Because our image was not clear on the picture that the influencer posted. Our image, if you looked at it, to us, our image is different because we see it every time. And even before we launched it, you already saw that image, every single day for the last 2 months. But for somebody else that's just searching for a product on Amazon, they type that name. If you're not the first one to show up for that search term, they're going to buy one by mistake. And that probably happened the first time. So we have to correct that.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And another thing I'd add to that is Amazon, in most cases I've seen, is no longer putting the brand name on the search results page like that, the actual brand name that you put under your product. And so putting it at the start of your title, especially in that case, is probably a good idea. Yeah. I don't recommend this for all products to have your brand name at the start of the title, especially brands that have like really long brand names. I think it's a bad idea to put it at the start. But in this case, if you're doing search, find, buy, you probably should just, at least for that, have it right at the start of your title.
Yes, unless you have a non-brand registered mark, like those everything stores that I had one of those too, where you sell every kind of product. So as you can put any name you want as your brand because you're not brand registered for that particular item. The only issue you're going to have is that you can get hijackers, and that happens often. But you can name your brand what you want the search term to be, right? So if you are selling, let's say, for example, a Blue Yeti microphone, if you're selling the Blue Yeti microphone, you could name your product, and this is just a random example, we are Blue Yeti, LLC, right? And although that LLC doesn't exist, that brand name doesn't exist, you can name it, and that actually gets indexed. And plus, if you put it on your title, that is your brand name, and of course it gets indexed. I said of course, but not everything is that simple, but more than likely it will.
Yeah, it's certainly a good trick. Speaking of good tricks, you also have a really random way of doing product research with Helium 10 filters. Tell us a little bit about that.
All right. So, this is not a sales pitch to Helium 10. I do think this tool is fantastic. There's completely honest here, Danny. I love Helium 10, and I go through it to everything. I track keywords. I track them by the hour to know what position I was, an hour ago, or where they are now, to see if certain things are working. So I use that. But in this particular thing, for example, for this everything store, if you're looking for any kind of product that has high demand and low competition, like everybody wants, but is not really connected to an existing brand, right? So if you're selling supplements, you don't want to be selling ping pong rackets in the exact same store. For anybody else, you can go, and what I do is pick any random product, anything you're looking at. You open Amazon and see featured products, pick one, copy their ASIN. I go to Helium 10 and I do a reverse ASIN search. And I don't care what this product is. So I'm going to do a reverse search, ASIN search. And this, by doing this, it's going to give me every single keyword that this product ranks for organically or sponsored, right? So if they're sponsored or organic, it's going to show up. Some products can have, let's say, 30,000 keywords. Now they have an option where you can put all those keywords in a descending order. And I click on that and I put them on a descending order. The number one keyword that shows up is going to have a super high search volume. Now, most of the times, that very, very high search volume keyword is not even relevant to the product that you entered in the first place. Just randomly, they're on page 100 for that product, right? But they are indexed, so it shows up there. Now, I grab that search term and just whatever it is, I go put it on Amazon and do a random search, because I already know the demand is there. Now this product has, or this search term has a very high demand. And I search it, sometimes there's random things that show up. And then Helium 10 has an option right on the left side of the search volume that is their, what do they call it? Their IQ score, the IQ score. And that's the difference between the demand and the number of competitors that are targeting that particular keyword. So when you see a number super, super high, that means we could be looking at a brand name. It could be a patent or a trademark term. That means there's very low amount of people that are indexed for that particular keyword. So we skip those and then go, it's like I said, it's a bit random, but we do that over and over until we find the products that are going to give us those 70% success chances. I don't know if you use Helium 10 Chrome extension, it gives you, same as a Jungle Scout, I guess, gives us the same too, the Pro Edition, the odds of success by launching one of those products. And by doing it randomly, I believe that I'm bypassing what every other person out there is doing, because they all take the same courses and they all figure out the same way of doing finding products, and eventually everybody's going to find the same product and we're all going to be selling the same stuff, so we're all competing against each other. By doing it randomly, and again, another thing we do is we never exclude oversized. We actually I have a sheet where we give value to things, right? So this one is, for example, you get 2 points if you're oversized. If you're undersized, you only get 1. In this case, we're favoring oversized items because they have lower competition by default, right? There's a difference. If you type in Bluetooth speakers or queen size mattresses, you're going to see the difference in the competition. It's because most people do not want to get into something that big. And so anyway, that's the way we do it. Just randomly, it's a back and forth, right? We grab the ASIN, we find the highest keyword search volume for that ASIN. And of course, these search volumes are just approximate guesses right now. Then we take that to Amazon and do it again and do that again. And then whatever product shows up for that, we do a reverse ASIN of that one until we find a gem, something that I never thought of, that there's only, sometimes you can get lucky and get something that has like 40 competitors. So if you do a launch with 10 giveaways or 10 rebates, you're on page one automatically. So those still exist, right? There's millions of sellers, billions of products, but there's still products out there that probably have 20, 30 sellers to compete with. And it's still possible.
Yeah, I really like what you're saying there too, because trying to think outside the box when it comes to product research or really anything in digital marketing is a really powerful way to just break yourself out of your own mind, which probably is similar to the brains of everyone else. We've all been taught the same kind of things, right? And so we've been taught to think in certain ways. And sometimes the only way to break out of that is to just completely leave it up to chance, to just like not let our brains guide the decisions. So that's a very interesting way to look for products. And for those of you who are using tools that just will like filter, product research tools, like look for products that are, really light to ship and between this price point and these categories, you can guarantee that there are hundreds, if not thousands of other sellers typing in the exact same criteria into these tools, and the tools are showing the same products to everybody. So very often I've seen it time and time again with those type of products. You see it as a really good opportunity at one point in time. And then 2 months later, the page one search results are flooded with like 15 new sellers. You know what I mean? So like the life cycle of those kind of products is just so low that I think Quin's way of thinking outside the box here is really powerful, and just applying that mindset to your entire business. How can I add a bit of randomness into my business to potentially come up with a new really good marketing tactic or new idea? And personally, I've been implementing this in my own life and my own business by usually I do a weekly planning process, and I have the top 3 or 5 things that need to get done that week, and I stick to that. But every once in a while, I have like a really good meditation session in the morning where I just have a super locked in meditation, and some crazy idea is going to pop into my head. And I've learned to give myself the space to just, whenever that happens, if it's a good enough idea, I'll sit there and think about it. I will drop everything I'm doing for the entire day, and I'll focus on executing that idea. So just like instant from a random idea that pops into my head, I can actually go and dedicate the time to implementing that and doing it, right? Mm-hmm. And like, I don't want to be doing this all of the time. It's maybe one day every 10 days or one day every 14 days, but allowing myself to just have that inspiration hit and then just go after it and do it has allowed me to come up with some of the most effective either marketing campaigns or operational things I've put in my business or whatever it is that I've come up with in the last year or so. So yeah, it's an interesting thing to keep in mind.
Definitely is. That's one thing I got to start doing more, or not more, but I got to start doing it, and it's meditation.
Yeah, so powerful. I do 20 minutes every morning for the past like 3 or 4 years at least here, probably 4 years. So It's a very powerful part of keeping my brain in good shape for just executing in business every single day, keeping my mindset right, and keeping stress levels down and everything like that. So can't recommend meditation enough. Even if you're just starting 5 minutes a day with an app like Headspace or something like that, work your way up to 20 minutes, and just with consistency, it's been one of the best things that I do on a daily basis for sure. So Quin, this has been really valuable episode. There's lots of really actionable golden nuggets in here. So thank you so much for sharing those with the audience and sharing all your secrets. And if people want to learn more about you or reach out to you online, where's the best place for them to do so?
Well, thanks for having me. First of all, Danny, it's a pleasure talking to you like always. And there's a few places where people can find me. And I have a couple podcasts. I'm a podcaster as well. I have the QA Selling Online. Also host the Fail Fast podcast, the Prolific Zone, and that's just at prolificzone.com. That's actually came from Russell Brunson to the Prolific Zone, where you're just one step before being crazy. And so I got that domain as soon as he mentioned it. And that's it. Yeah, I'm on Instagram, LinkedIn. I'm very big on LinkedIn. Not big, not big on LinkedIn, but I'm very active, and I have over 15,000 followers and close to 20 connections. So that's where you can find me. And name is Quin with one N, Quin.
Quin. Well, man, this has been super, super valuable. Highly recommend checking out Quin's podcast. And I have an episode releasing there soon as well. So if you guys can't get enough of my voice and you just love to hear me talk, then head over to Quin's podcast and go check that one out too. So, and if you guys want the show notes, any of the resources we mentioned or anything like that is going to be at actualizefreedom.com. And make sure to subscribe on the YouTube channel. And if you haven't already, go leave a review. You guys are Amazon sellers. You guys are always bugging your customers to go leave reviews. So I'm going to be bugging you guys to leave me reviews. Really love reading the reviews, especially when they're 5 stars. If they're not 5 stars, then I usually cry myself to sleep, and I go home and I just feel really bad about myself. Usually I'll buy a tub of ice cream and just cry, just alone in my room. It's really sad. So make sure you leave a 5-star review, and I really appreciate it, guys. So until next time, take care, and go check out Quin's stuff. Cheers.
For show notes and resources mentioned in this episode, visit kenjiroi.com.